ready?
I love it. All right, keep going.
Transmission successful.
Hit it!
What?
Welcome to the RMNU podcast. I'm your host, Ed Lamagnier, and joining us on today's episode, we got Heath Chapman with East Carolina Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Welcome to the show.
What's going?
I'm doing good, man. And, before we dive in, I want to see if I could pull this up because you've had some pretty big events taking place.
Yeah.
And, the other night, again, we're recording on April Fool's Day.
Yes.
But, we're not fooling around. You had a celebration going on at your school.
Yes.
Let viewers know what went down.
So Matthew Coley has been with me, gosh knows, man. I want to say 13 or 14 years. He's
Wow.
one of the first students I had sign up. He just turned 70 years old, and we had a big birthday celebration for him Monday night. Birthday cake, and Robson made a nice video for him and stuff like that we shared within the school, and we promoted him to his first degree at 70 years old last night.
Man, that is awesome. And then, you look at the footage, you've got this huge turnout of teammates that are there. How many people did you have on the mats?
I want to say in the mid-50s last night.
Man, That's awesome. You see people here just coming in, having a
We
good
have some
time.
eating cake. We had to have it where some were on the mats and some were going to our pretty much our bonus room, eating cake and then swapping back and forth last night. It was a pretty wild night for him. He's just been such a big part of the school and an inspiration to so many people. He's not able, obviously, at 70. He rolls. He's training 4 nights a week now. And he's like, Heath, I have to take Friday nights off. So he takes Friday nights off now.
Yeah.
But up until last year, man, he was training 5 nights a week.
Dude, that's crazy. I mean, that's my goal is to be, in my 70s, still on the mats. And, again, he's got to have an amazing story to share and
he's
advice
off his
to.
blood pressure medicine, man.
Really?
He's 70 years old. He doesn't take blood pressure medicine. He still has regular ailments that you would expect from a 70-year-old man to have, but
right.
His overall health, man, and longevity, I think it's not just good for his physical health, it's his mental health and mental well-being. He's retired. He doesn't have much to do anymore. We're his extended family. And when he comes out, everyone's just happy to see him. I remember this was 3 or 4 months ago. He decided for recovery purposes and stuff like that with training, instead of 5 nights a week, I'm just going to cut it back to 4 nights a week. The first Friday night, he did not show up to class. I had people sitting there messaging like, Heath, where's Matthew?
Oh my goodness.
Is he okay? Where's Matthew? Because he's not there. He's normally in class on a treadmill or a bike an hour before class starts, doing a cardio section, then getting on the mats and drilling and training techniques, and he'll still roll 3 to 4 rounds a night.
Yeah. So what do you say, to someone who's watching this and they see, that video footage of all these teammates who are coming out for Matt's birthday, who are messaging you, wanting to know, where's this guy at? How come he's not? Where's Matt? He's not at class.
Yeah.
What do you say about that community that your school has built?
It's my program is a very tight niche program, and over the years it has grown very organically. When you look at my Instagram, you'll see the number of followers that I have. I've never boosted anything. The really cool thing about the way I've done my advertising, 95% of the followers that I have actually stepped foot in my building.
Dude, that's awesome.
So it's not a big following, but it's a very close-knit family-based following. And the environment, God's blessed me so much, man. I can't tell you how much God's given me in this life and in this world, not just with my family, with what jiu-jitsu's done for me, but through the connections with Hobson and everything like that, it's just been a great blessing. And the environment that I've cultivated is kind of like a big extended family. We took 27 to Pans this year, man. I mean,
that's awesome.
We had to get 2 houses for that one competition for RMNU, just from my school. And we all stayed together. We all roomed together. We traveled together. It really is a blessing to see. And I mean, whenever Hobson, I have Bruno, Gustavo, Shaolin, Jeff has come and visited me. He'll tell you, like, the environment that I have at my school is really, really a family-oriented environment. And it's fun, man. It's really a blessing.
And for people who may not be following you at the time of this video on social media, give us a breakdown about your program, kids program, adult program, what you offer at your school.
Man, I have a 24-hour fitness center attached to my school. Okay. And my BJJ program, I have a Mighty Mites program, which is 4 to 6. And then I have a Spartan program, which is from 7 to 12 or 13, depending on the kid's size, right? And then my adult program. I have classes every day, Monday through Friday, in the mornings and evenings. Open mats are on Saturdays and Sundays. And when people sign up, they get access to a closed Facebook group to where if they want to meet in between classes and roll or train, they're allowed to just kind of send out a message on Facebook, and you'll come in there on a Tuesday afternoon at 1:00 and everybody got together through Facebook, and there's like 8 people in there doing an open mat.
That's awesome.
And it's meant for, like, originally it meant that closed group for like a way of networking to communicate with events, seminars, things like that. It's really been a bash Heath session is what it typically is.
Gotcha.
Make fun of me the entire time I check on my Facebook. I get a notification. I'm like, do I really want to hit this button to see what they're saying about me?
Yeah.
Like, for instance, this past camp, all my students haze me. This past camp back in December, I weighed right at 189 pounds, and I cut to lightweight for Pans this year.
Dang.
And by mid-March, I was hangry. I'll admit it. I was very hungry. But in February, I come into to the office one day, and on the front counter, I have nothing but Snickers bars. Just like, Heath, you need to eat a Snickers bar. It's not nice rolling you anymore.
Yeah.
And I mean, my students know I love Oreos and like Reese's Pieces are like my little sinful treat. And man, I was down there. They were buying Bruno Bastos, because Bruno stayed with us, boxes of Oreos to eat in front of me the whole week while we were down there.
Oh man, talk about torture.
Man, it was horrible. And Bruno would be like, Heath, you won't. Oh, I'm sorry. I've already made weight. Bruno, you're ultra heavyweight. Of course you already made weight.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's a lot of fun. I mean, because of the way everybody gets along, I mean, I have students that have been with me for so long, man. They're like extended family to me.
That's awesome.
And it's a lot of fun, the stuff that we do. I mean, I can't like say anything bad about it.
Yeah. So give a little background. How did you get started in martial arts? And was jiu-jitsu the first martial art you were exposed to, or was it something else?
9 years old. I started when I was 9. I started doing Hakaru Jiu-Jitsu, which is a style of Japanese Jiu-Jitsu. Okay. I started training Kodokan Judo and Shito-ryu Karate. I got black belts in Kodokan and Hakaru. I got up to my 2nd degree in that. And I can't remember, honestly, if I tested for my Shodan for my black belt in Shito-ryu Karate or not.
Okay.
When I was about 19, I started cross training in BJJ, because all the guys competing in judo, that's what they were doing at the time. And in North Carolina, they didn't really have many, like the IBJJF hadn't really reached the Eastern Seaboard yet,
Yeah, we ain't coming to you yet.
Yeah, the big competitions that we had in North Carolina at the time were U.S. Grappling and Nagas. And you couldn't really say you were good in North Carolina if you couldn't podium at U.S. Grappling, because they had some really good talent going through there. I won that event at every belt level, white through black. Nagas, I typically did really well in, but I like competing in U.S. grappling. And when I joined RMNU, I was a 4-stripe brown belt, and this school kind of like landed in my lap. I didn't expect to be as young as I was having my own jiu-jitsu school.
How
And
old
the
were you when you opened your own school?
27, 28. Mm-hmm. And I didn't expect it. And it was just something for me to train at. And I decided, well, the association that I was with, from who I bought it out from, wasn't very happy with. So Hobson was always my idol. I watched Hobson videos all the time. Hobson, Marcelo Garcia, Shaolin, those were the guys that I kind of really looked at.
Okay.
And dude, called Hobson on the phone. I never thought he would like take me in at all, because like it's like meeting a superstar celebrity, you know.
Yeah.
And he joined me in RMNU, and I had 4 stripes in my brown belt, and he demoted me, took all my stripes away. And I told him I'd go back to purple, but he wouldn't let me. And dude, the rest was kind of history with me and Hobson, man. It's been great. It really has
Yeah.
been.
And again, you talk about, the relationship you have with Hobson.
Mm-hmm.
You came over as a 4th degree brown belt. He brought you all the way back down to brown belt. And then you fast forward to 2024, we're at the team dinner and he calls your name for instructor of the year. What was going through your mind when you heard that?
Well, Toma was making fun of me the whole time. He was like, dude, like, because Hobson's saying all these nice things about me. And like Toma, I can't say the stuff Toma was saying to me, but I like, I bet this guy's a complete tool, stuff like, I bet his jiu-jitsu is very questionable. He doesn't know anything, stuff like that. He was just completely berating me the whole time. And I was laughing at Toma, and he obviously calls my name. I was like, Toma, you're a jerk, man.
Yeah. I was in agreement with you that this guy's probably not going to be that great. And it turns out to be me.
Man, I was like, what in the world, man? But it was a lot of fun, man. That was truly a very big honor to receive. I mean, receiving my 3rd degree from Hobson, and that award was honestly amazing. It was a very surreal experience for me, because that is a very prestigious award in our association.
It is.
And
You're at the camp. You have, teammates from across the globe that come to Tampa to learn, to share ideas. And I remember the first camp I went to, it was just a kind of a surreal feeling, because you see all the people that you were friends with on social media. Now we're in person. We can actually get a chance to roll with one another. What advice would you give to someone who, is a part of the association, but they've never been to a camp?
Go to the camps. I mean, in June, Toma's putting up one in Toronto. That is always a fun camp to go to. Toma does an amazing job with our RMNU Canada camp. And then our HQ camp in October every year. That is a Hobson. I think this past year, Hobson, Steve Snyder, and Jeff Mitchell, they did a lot of the work behind the scenes.
Yeah.
And Jeff and Steve did an amazing job. They really did, I think.
It was great.
And it's just like because they really care. I mean, that's the thing. Like Toma and Hobson, when they do these camps, they really care about the turnout, not just from people just showing up. They want you to come there and have a very good experience and celebrate our association together as a family. That's a really big deal. I mean, a lot of other places, they're not. I mean, when we got that, Hobson ran out an entire restaurant for us. And that was that Saturday night dinner was awesome.
Yeah.
That was one of the funnest ones. I mean, bowling. It's just great fellowship with teammates that you don't typically get to see every year. And these are memories, because like I had it rough coming up, man. And I've always said that, like, as a black belt and as a coach, I want to give my students the things I never had coming up. I did not have access until I was a black belt to Hobson. I did not have access to that caliber of jiu-jitsu until I met Hobson.
Yeah.
And to be completely honest, I didn't know what jiu-jitsu was until I met Robson. That is the honest to God truth. I did not know how to train. I did not know how to sequence. I did not know how to chain. And then Robson sitting there going, Heath, go talk to Gustavo. Go talk to Shaolin. Go talk to Bruno. Through Robson, I have made great friendships with people that he grew up with that helped mold him. And they all molded each other. Robson, Gustavo, Shaolin, they all molded each other. Very tight-knit family. But when you're around people like that, you start realizing that you've only been doing something that looks like jiu-jitsu. When you're around those type of guys, you see what jiu-jitsu really is. Not just the movements and the moves, how it's trained, the thought process behind it, the lifestyles behind it, and how jiu-jitsu should be used to cultivate and build people up in such positive ways. I mean, you look at just what Robson's done in his association, the people he's helped through jiu-jitsu, the people that he has helped get better starts in life. People come to him. People come to me depressed. People come to me just not in good places in life. I've got one guy that's come to me in the middle of a divorce. Yeah. Very, very rough time in his life right now. Dude, you would not have recognized him from who he is 2 years ago to today. Gotcha. Not the same man. I mean, it changes people's eyes. People look at going out and chasing medals and stuff like that, which is great. I mean, for competition and stuff, that's awesome. But the greatest medal that jiu-jitsu has given me as a coach and instructor is knowing that I've been able to help people and help people on the mats with jiu-jitsu, yes, but off the mats deal with stuff. I mean, because everybody's got mess, man. We've all got mess. And jiu-jitsu is one of the best things in the world to help put you around a positive environment with positive people. So, like, if they're looking to say, well, I want to meet my RMNU family, these camps are for that. Like, one thing we don't have, and we think we have it, but we really don't, is time.
Yeah. We
don't have time, man. I mean, you look at, like, some of the people over the years, I mean, there's going to be a lot of black belts. We're getting older, right? I look forward to seeing Toma. Believe it or not, I look forward. God, it kills me to say this. I look forward to seeing Jeff. You know,
right?
I look forward to seeing my extended family because, like, they are extended family. Like Jeff Mitchell has done a lot for me personally and for my business over the last 10 to 15 years. I mean, I can't say anything negative about any of the people that Robson has in our association. Toma lives all the way up in Canada. I can call Toma on the phone right now and he'll pick up the phone.
Yeah.
But it's more special when I get to see him and give him a hug.
Yeah.
It really is. I mean, because like we live so far apart from each other, how often are we going to actually be able to see each other, go out, have a beer, go out and have fellowship with each other? These are memories that you'll look back on years from now. Because I didn't have it. I did not have any of these things. So my goal is to be able to give my students the things I did not have when I was coming up through the ranks.
Gotcha.
That's why I do belt promotions the way I do. I do them at seminars. People try to knock me for it. Heath, why don't you promote somebody on a Tuesday night? I can. Yeah. I can, but the reality is if I schedule them throughout the year, if you get your blue belt or you get your purple belt, you really didn't get your blue belt. Your teammates helped you get that. And they should share in that moment with you. Yep. And I like having people like Robson come in. Jeff, I've had Bruno come in. I like having people like that come in to look at my students, to be there to promote them, because I didn't have it. I literally had my blue belt thrown in my face. Congratulations, Heath, you're a blue belt tonight.
Oh, man.
That's literally how I got my blue belt. How I got my purple belt, too. Guy just threw at me. You know?
And that's so crazy because, you know, the sacrifices people make to have that time on the mats, to train, and to just have your belt thrown at you as, hey, congratulations. You know, like I always tell my guys, it's like, yeah, I'm the school owner. Yes, I'm a first degree black belt, but you know what's really cool? When you've got the head of the affiliation, 8-time world champion, Robson Moura, who comes in, he goes over my notes, he agrees with me and says, you know what? you're an RMNU blue belt, you're an RMNU
Yep.
purple, brown, black belt.
And I mean, it means it takes a lot of credibility to it as well. But also, say you got a guy who's 40 years old, gets his blue belt or his purple belt. He's going to look at his grandkids one day and say, you know, Robson Moura helped tie a purple belt around my waist when I was 40.
Yeah.
These are like, I do it because they're memories, man. As a coach and a black belt, I'm not there to give somebody rank. What I do is I facilitate their journey to black belt. That's how I look at it. And everybody has different seasons in life, and they have different seasons at rank. I have one student who had by far the worst season I have ever seen at purple belt. By far the worst. And I promoted him to brown belt at Pans last year. His season as a purple belt, and I told him, regardless of what happened at Pans last year, okay, his season was ending that day. He could have lost in the first round, set one the whole. It did not matter. His season as a purple belt was ending. Did not want it because he lost. He lost by ref's decision in the quarterfinals. He lost to a guy who took second at European Worlds, second at Pans, and the guy ended up taking second at Master Worlds. He was one of the top purple belts at that weight class, and he lost by ref decision.
Right.
I gave him his brown belt. He wasn't happy with me. He has won the Virginia State Open, the IBJJF Virginia Open twice as a brown belt, all by submission, and he just took third at Pans as a brown belt. He's only lost one match as a brown belt. So you can have a bad season at a certain rank and it not mean anything. I'm here to facilitate their journey to black belt, and I want to facilitate it in as pure of a way and as pure of a method as I possibly can for them.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, it's their journey, not mine.
Yeah.
And the best part about us being black belts, having Robson come in, we've earned our black belts from Robson, which is anybody who gets a black belt from Robson Moura, man, it's different. Because Robson is a legend. He really is.
Yeah.
But knowing what I can give because of that, it's greater than any belt around my waist. Knowing what I can use, what he has given me to help other people in their journeys, that's been the greatest gift to me.
Yeah. I remember, after, I got my black belt, I had teammates looking at me going, well, the surprise is gone. I'm like, what are you talking about? The surprise is gone. And like, now it's all time-based for you. As long as you're on the mats, you're training, you're coaching, based on your timetable, when you're getting your professor bars, when you're getting your first degree, they're like, with us, we still have the excitement in our journey. We don't know, when we're going to get called out for a stripe or a belt. And, there might be workshops when we come in where, there is no promotion. It's like, well, that's the journey.
I can tell you this, man, and this is the truth. I used to look at the stripes on black belt that way, but I don't anymore.
Okay.
All right. I just got my third degree, right? I remember when I was still a second degree, I was in the Charlotte Open, and I fought this guy. His last name was Nascimento. He's obviously from Brazil. And I fought him in the finals, and I'll never forget this, man. He pulls half guard, and I get an X choke grip in a power slice. And I really thought in my brain, thank you so much for the gold medal, because that is my favorite position to be in.
Okay.
Ed, the next thing I know, my feet have kicked over my head, and that man ping pongs and puts me in an arm bar. He passes me and arm bars me, but my arm is fully hyperextended. All right. And he's not pressuring my arm. He's just holding it. And I look at him and he looks at me, and I just slowly rotate my thumb to see if I'm going to hitchhike out of it. And he just tightens it, and I just tap.
Yeah.
He never had any pressure on my arm. My arm was never hyperextended. He had me checkmated. And I'll just literally sit up. And one of my best friends, who's a world champion, was working the table. And that man's face was like this when I sat up. Because he ain't never seen anybody do that to me. So I get off at the podium, and we're sitting there talking. This guy's a 5th degree black belt, and he has been competing that long. Those stripes mean a lot, especially if they're still training.
Yeah.
There's a very big difference between a 5th degree and a 2nd degree or a 3rd degree. And people just say, well, it's just time to get that piece of tape. No, that piece of tape, it is earned just as much, if not more. So if you're a black belt and you're competing, think about who you're competing with now.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sitting there going as a 2nd degree black belt. I've been a black belt maybe 6 years. Look at how many years he's been a black belt.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's insane.
I mean, that's the crazy thing
at black belt. People don't kind of put that in perspective because like lower belts, they think, oh, it's just another promotion. No, you don't understand. Yeah. At that level at black belt, when you're competing at that level, they're all really, really good. I've never competed against people I beat and people that's beat me. I've never walked off the mat saying, well, that was easy. I mean, that has never happened because they're all very tough and talented. But when you're starting to get into those guys who have been 4th and 5th degree competitors that have been competing, man, they are different animals. I mean, look at Gustavo Dantes, look at Bruno, look at what rank they are. You have guys in their division that have been black belts maybe 6 years, 7 years. Look how long they've been black belts.
Yeah.
You got to compete against those savages now. I mean,
yeah.
I mean, dude, it's really it's awesome though, because this is the one sport you can do it.
Mm-hmm.
You can't go play basketball with LeBron James right now.
Right.
But dude, you could go to Master Worlds, and who's going to be in your division?
Right.
I mean, you look at the master level competitors that were down there just at Pans this year, man. I mean, these are some very big name jiu-jitsu athletes, and you've got guys who train really, really hard as master level athletes, and you're in the divisions with these guys.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no other sport in the world you can do that with. You know, I mean,
right.
You could go there and you could see some of the biggest names in jiu-jitsu and train really, really hard and be in the bullpen with them. I mean, it's awesome, man.
That is awesome. And, speaking of, competition, you mentioned it earlier in the conversation. You went out to the Pans with teammates and, taking a look at, the Instagram that you have, talk about that experience. What was it like, getting the team ready and, operating the school while you were gone?
Man, dude, this was wild. This was our biggest one. I've been very blessed because I want to say now we've put in the last 3 to 4 years, from ECBJJ, I put over 40 people on the podium at Pans. That is at all belt levels, white, all the way up to black. So I have people competing as white belt, and I have people competing all the way up to me that have been black belts with me. And this camp was hard. I've never had this many before go. We brought 27. We had to get 2 houses. The way I do things is a little different. If they're going to compete for me, they have to earn a team medal for me to say that they're allowed to go compete. So the first thing they have to do is be training with me for a little while and have to see that they're progressing. And then they get like a team accommodation medal. So that's hey, look, you are now eligible to go compete in the IBJJF and represent me. And then I'll have Robson sign off on your card. Okay. So there's protocols that they have to do before I'll even let them go compete. You can't just show up on 2 weeks and be like, hey, Heath, I'm going to go do the Atlanta Open. I'm going to be like, no, you're not. Because I want to make sure that you're safe, that you know what you're not. And it's not about winning. It's about you need to understand what's going to be happening out there to where you know when you're in danger, so that way you can know when to tap. I want to see that you're rolling in a safe way and competing in a safe way. This year, I started talking about it in early December. We started the camp January the 4th. and the camp went all the way up until the week of Pans.
Okay.
I ran competition classes and I had individual private lessons. I had people coming in at certain weight classes. I would structure their training differently. So, for instance, a featherweight and a lightweight would not be training the same way as a super heavy or an ultra heavy. Their jiu-jitsu sequencing wouldn't be the same because, they're not going to see the same types of pocketed systems that they would see in their respective weight classes. So I had to teach. And then you have to add the age category. Now I got an adult, and then I got a master 2, then I got a master 4. You see what I'm saying? So
yeah,
you have to really look at what traffic is this athlete going to see versus this athlete, and you have to cater their training specifically to it. There's a lot of scouting on it. As soon as the divisions start filling up, I start looking at team names. I start looking at points. I know how many points my athletes are going to have. So having an idea of the top 5 people they'll probably see in the first round, I start scouting those athletes, and then I start putting them in those situations based off the common occurrences that those other athletes are going to have. So like if I have a guy in your weight class range like Ed, he's going to pull butterfly every single time. We work a lot of butterfly with you for your first round. You see what I'm saying? So like
yeah.
I have a very good idea about what my athletes are going to see because of all the scouting I do. And it takes a lot of time.
Yeah.
And then when the brackets are out, they have to do a private with me before their matches so that way we can break down footage of the competition so that way they know what to expect in their first match. It's a lot. It really and
That
truly
is crazy. The amount of time that goes in because, like you said, you had 27 teammates go down.
And you're looking at some of these divisions had like over 40 people in them.
Yeah.
Now my master level, some of them had anywhere from 8 to 14, so that wasn't too bad. But Gentry, he had 38 in his.
So are you breaking down video for him for potential 30 different opponents that have already registered?
I'll typically have an idea because when you look at the points, they're going to have the top seeds with the lower seeds. So I'll have an idea depending on who's the brackets are because the top 4 are always in their separate brackets. So you're going to kind of have an idea of how they're going to be bracketed a little bit, but not much. Like me going into Pans for myself. I knew I was either going to be in Kyle Sleeman's bracket or Daniel Tavares' bracket because those are the 2 that had the most points, and I was coming in as a lightweight. I didn't have as many points. I was still seeded 12th, which isn't a bad seed, but I already knew what my bracket was going to kind of look like. But when I do that for my students, I have home-based systems that they have to be good with, and the goal is, okay, this person pulls De La Riva. Your first connection is going to be with your right hand, not your left hand, and then you're going to force this. And a lot of the times it will go that way because, especially if I've got recent footage of somebody within, let's say, 3 to 6 months, right? Their game's not changing drastically, right? Especially if we're coming into a major. So, say I have somebody that did Atlanta, and I have somebody that did Chicago, and then now they're going to come down and do Pans. Atlanta and Chicago are practice for Pans. So I can get a good idea structurally about what they're going to be thinking in certain situations. They're not going to go out there and do something at Pans completely different than what they just did in Chicago, especially had some degree of success in it. So I'm able to scout pretty well for them. There's always outliers, but for the most part, my scouting has been pretty good so far. Kyle had a tough bracket. And he did an amazing job. Sean did an amazing job. He podiumed. He took 3rd, and this is his 4th year making the podium at Pans. He won it as a white belt. Then his next year, he took 3rd as a blue belt. Then last year, he won it as a blue belt and got his purple belt. And then as a purple belt his first time, he just took 3rd. Amber Taylor, she did absolutely amazing. She was coming in off of an injury, and she made it all the way to the finals. And she had, on just her side of the bracket alone, she had 2 of the top seeds in her entire weight class on her division. And she did an amazing job out competing them to the finals. It's hard. I
Yeah.
mean, it is a very hard thing to do, and I try to do everything I can to prepare them physically, mentally, and emotionally for it. Because like some people, they'll do camps. I've noticed they'll come 2 times a week. Yeah, I'm gonna go do pans. I'm gonna go do this event or that event. The ones that are being successful at these majors, they're putting in camps. Like you're
Yeah.
talking 5 days a week, strength and conditioning on top of it. I mean, I had strength and conditioning programs put together for my students on top of
Wow.
what I expected them for jiu-jitsu. Then they had private lessons with me that weren't just cardio based or get them a good workout. They were all tactically based. What are their tactics? What are they looking to do with their systems? How long are you going to hold this guard before you attempt to sweep? You're up by 3 points. How long are you going to hold it? You see what I'm saying? I mean, little
Yeah.
things, little minute details like that. So, well, if you got the guard, why do you want to hold it? Well, if you're winning by 5 points, why do you need to sweep them?
True.
Run the clock down.
Yeah. How long have you been doing the scouting process for your students?
About 5 years.
Okay.
About five
And
years now.
what made you decide, you know what? I gotta do some scouting for these guys.
I really want them to be successful. I mean, because like at my level, I've been competing for a long time, right? So anytime I go in the bullpen as a middleweight, specifically as a middleweight, there wasn't a black belt in the bullpen that I really didn't know. Because I mean, we all, especially like, Jerry Shafi from Carlson Grace, he's a great guy, an amazing wrestler. Nakapon, great guy from Beta, he's an awesome competitor. Nick Walters, he is one of the toughest guys in Eastern North Carolina as a middleweight. He's always in the mix at that weight class. Um, Greg Walker, he's a savage as a middleweight. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I see him all the time. So
Gotcha.
whenever I go to these divisions, I already know the brackets and how they're going to work out. I already know their systems, and I already know how to have an idea how they're going to approach me and how I'm going to try to approach them. Because we compete against each other quite frequently. Or we may
Sure.
not see each other, but we're in that bullpen looking. If somebody's on the other end of my bracket, I'm watching his first round. What guard did he pull?
Yeah.
Oh, why didn't he pull De La Hiva this time? He pulled deep half. That's new. I haven't seen him do that in 4 years. You see what I'm saying? We're always
Yeah.
doing that with each other in the bullpen. So I'm sitting there going, well, for my students, they're going to get out there, especially at a major. The lights do a funny thing, man. You can go to Charlotte, Atlanta, Charleston, any of these other opens. You'll be nervous, especially if you don't do it much, right? When you go to your first major and it's stadium seating, and you got Flow Grappling running around, you see all these major superstar studs out there. Just the anxiety of that day, it is overwhelming. I have seen more athletes lose to the lights than their opponents.
Gotcha.
That is just reality and truth. I can tell you, and I guarantee you know this too. You can have a guy in your school that is whatever belt, doesn't matter. He is a mat savage. But for some reason, when he goes to a competition, at that stage, it doesn't click.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Well, one of the main reasons why he's a mat savage is because he knows all of his teammates. He's familiar with them and he's comfortable. But when you just take him and move him over here, I don't know this guy. What's he going to do? You see what I'm saying? Well, if
Yeah.
I can go ahead and say, hey, look, you're going to see this guy in the first round. He always pulls close guard, and the first thing he looks to do is arm drag. He's done that in his last 4 matches. That gives him a little bit more confidence. You see what I'm saying? Going
Sure.
into it to have somebody experienced look at them and see their tendencies and read tendencies for other athletes. That way you can prepare your athletes for them. Now, is it 100% like that? No, because everybody's always evolving with their jiu-jitsu. But
Right.
just a realm of familiarity helps out a lot.
And, you're talking about, the camps and preparing your students. You had 27 teammates go down to the Pans. How does that impact your regular class schedule and your lesson plans?
Well, the way I teach classes, man, I teach advanced basics. That's what I look at. My entire program is actually catered to white belts.
Okay.
I'm not teaching barambolos in class. I'm not teaching high fancy, super inverted stuff from Spider De La Hiva. And I mean, I know that stuff. I literally teach the nitty gritty about what is going to actually work and not just work, what works at the highest consistency. So, like, for instance, a super heavyweight, probably not going to see De La Hiva much, right?
True.
A lightweight, middleweight, they'll see De La Hiva a lot.
Yeah.
So I structure my program based off of what they're going to see the most, based off of their body style, mechanics, and structures. You see what I'm saying? So, like,
Yeah.
I may be saying this week we're going to work De La Hiva. My bigger guys, you're going to work reverse De La Hiva from half guard. This is what y'all are going to work on. Because I'm not going to sit back there from a knowledge standpoint. They'll play with it a little bit, but if they're getting ready for a competition, I'm not going to put them in structures that they're not realistically going to see in their guarded weight class. I mean, yeah, if you're a blue belt and you could be a super heavyweight, I expect you to know what a De La Hiva guard is and have some sequences from it. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But I also know if you're going to go compete, that's not going to probably be your preferred guard structure. Does that make sense? So when they're getting ready for a camp, a competition, it's kind of like I would have a core concept for the week. Like for 1 week, everybody be working back takes, right? Well, back take for my smaller athletes, if I was going to sequence it from a guard, might be from De La Hiva. My bigger guys is going to be from half or closed.
Got you.
But the concept of taking the back is the same for all my athletes.
Right.
It's just a starting point is going to be different. Now, if I'm getting them ready for a rank review where Bruno's coming in, Hobson's coming in, especially Hobson, because let's be real, Hobson's been to your school meeting. You never know what he's going to want to see. And from our standpoint, it's really, really bad for us from an anxiety standpoint because, you're going to have that one student that's going to go out there and do something stupid. And Hobson's going to be like, Heath, did you teach him that? I'm going to be like, no, that was YouTube, I promise. you know? But from our standpoint, it's really good because it makes us have to really make sure that our students are ready because you never know what Hobson's going to want to see.
Right.
You never know what he's going to want to see and what he's expecting to see when he walks through the doors.
Yeah.
I mean, so I try to make sure that when they're getting ready for rank review, they hit everything. De La Hiva, Spider. Yeah, Hobson will know that a guy who's like 250 pounds, he's not going to be playing Spider guard. But, hey, the guy knows what it is, and he knows where to move to. Yes. You see what I'm saying? I mean, that's jiu-jitsu knowledge. Now, jiu-jitsu application, that same guy's probably going to put you in half guard and smash you. I mean,
yeah.
So,
right.
But
this is where I'm comfortable. You're talking about, competitions. What advice, would you give to someone twofold who's watching this, who's always had an interest in starting jiu-jitsu, regardless of their age? If they're watching this and they're in their 20s, they're in their 40s, and then that teammate who, like you said, has been coming to class, they dominate everyone on the mats, but they've never dipped their toe in the world of competition. What advice do you have for these individuals?
I think you need to compete at least one time. Because the majority of people, they come to me, they look for two things. They're looking, A, lose weight, get in shape, have a little bit of fun, right? And self-defense. Competition is going to give you that adrenaline dump that you would get in a parking lot. It's the closest thing to it.
Yeah.
And if you're goal-oriented for self-defense, it's fantastic. Competing one time will give you an idea of what that's going to feel like and what that's going to be like. Because your teammates on your mats, they show you a lot more mercy than what you think they do.
Yeah.
They really do. I mean, things like shoulder pressure, overall pace, using strength because of things of familiarity between you and them, they are more likely going to show you a lot more mercy, even when you think they're not. Even when they think they're not, they still are. When you go out to a competition and you don't know the guy and you don't know what he's going to do or how he's going to move, you're going to be a little bit more timid. You're going to be a little bit more anxious about how he's going to try to move. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I firmly believe that in the point system of jiu-jitsu, if it is taught correctly, it covers self-defense. Most students, when they come in, they do not know where to start or what to try to do. And we're so sport-oriented in the United States. If you teach them the sport and say, okay, all fights start standing, follow the points. I'm going to take you down. I'm going to get 2 points. I'm going to pass your feet. I'm going to get 3 points. I'm going to secure mount. I'm going to get 4 points. Every time they're following the points in the correct way, right, they're putting themselves in positions to where they're less likely to get hurt. And that is self-defense. That is real. I can tell you, I've been so blessed that I've been able to help law enforcement officers from multiple agencies, from regular police departments. I have had members of the FBI, SBI. I've had people working with Homeland Security, and I've had people with the ATF. I've been very blessed over my years of training to have for people in law enforcement agencies to trust me with their training. 95% of all their hands-on altercations ended with a position, not a submission. Side control, mount, knee on belly, the dude just stops because of the pressure.
Yeah.
And I mean, that is real power. When you really think about the ultimate submission, if your positional jiu-jitsu and positional awareness is so good, right, that side control becomes your submission, that's power. That is really and truly the power of jiu-jitsu. Most people think when I get in a final stream, I'm going to choke the guy, I'm going to armbar the guy, stuff like that. 95% of all the altercations I've had with my law enforcement officers has been this. Heath, I body locked him. I took him down. I got a pillow. I got shoulder pressure in his face. And he literally was like, all right, man, please stop. I'll do whatever you tell me to. Or Heath, I got him in knee on belly. And as soon as I drove it home, he was like, I don't want to do this anymore. Please stop. I want to comply.
Yeah.
I mean, that is the real power of jiu-jitsu. And if you're learning it that way, all right, your competition points should be there. Your sequencing should be right for competition. But like, if you want to see really good jiu-jitsu, Master Worlds and Pans in the Masters division, they have some of the best positional jiu-jitsu you will ever see. And positional jiu-jitsu is self-defense.
Yeah.
It really and truly is self-defense. So if you're doing it correctly and following it correctly, self-defense is kind of like icing on the cake.
Yeah. You know, it's like if you can control the guy. I mean, how many times, have we repeated this on the mats to our teammates that position before submission, and then you have that teammate where it finally clicks. It's like, oh my gosh, I was stuck under bottom side control. And then all of a sudden you got the submission. It's like, I have to control you before I can do anything.
I tell you that position is your ultimate submission.
Yeah.
I mean, because like there's urgency into it. Like when we're talking about competing a minute ago, right? Like for me scouting, right? So in the Master 2 divisions, all matches were like 5 minutes, right? Really think about that. If I have a 10-minute match with you and I mess up in the first 30 seconds and you ankle pick me, that's fine. I got 9.5 minutes to come back from a 2-0 deficit.
Yeah.
5-minute match. I mess up and get ankle picked in the first 30 seconds. That match might very well be over.
Yeah.
That time limit, the shorter that time limit, the less chances you are positionally able to mess up.
Yeah.
If you mess up in a short time limit, you might be better than the guy. But that guy got on the scoreboard before you did, and now you're racing time. And time is not something you want to race. So one of the big things I preach to my students, you're not just fighting a person when you're going out there to compete. You're fighting time. You're fighting that timer. And you want to make sure that timer is in your corner and not theirs. Say, well, if you're winning by points and you're focused on positional jiu-jitsu and points and you're winning by points, the likelihood of you getting a submission goes up because they have to resort to stupid things to try to beat you. And that's when submission opportunities take place because there's a sense of urgency on them. That's one of the biggest things I preach about in all the camps that I do, all of my private lessons with my competitors. Control the clock. You have got to control the clock and know when you're winning and when you're losing a pocket.
Yeah. That is some great advice. Speaking of, advice, you mentioned, Robson sent you to talk with Bruno, sent you to talk with, Gustavo. In the time that you've been training, what have been some humbling moments that you've had, on the mats with any of these guys?
I remember when I was a brown belt, Robson sick Shaolin on me. And then Marcelo Pereira, Andre Ishabir, and Bruno Bastos.
Oh, jeez.
In that order. In that order. And Bruno, it was the first time Bruno ever met me. He was like, I felt so bad for Heath the first time I met him because I knew what order he just ran. And then I knew what Robson just told me to do to him.
Yeah.
It was bad, man. Now it was a lot of fun though. Like, being around those guys, just the way that they move, the way that they approach jiu-jitsu is very humbling in itself because you realize that as long as I've been doing it, to Robson, Shaolin, Gustavo, and Bruno, and I tell people this all the time, I'm a white belt. I am still a white belt to those guys. I have never scored a point on Bruno, Shaolin, Gustavo, or Robson. Never scored a point on them. Never. Yeah. The only time I've ever put Robson in a bad position is when he's teaching how to get out of it. It's like, and I think a lot of it is it's kind of like funny. Like I'll roll with like Bruno sometimes, and he'll see me get a certain grip. He's like, and it would be like Shaolin's really big on like a belt and a sleeve and a belt and a knee grip. Robson will get like a sleeve and go to his cross guard. So I'll kind of use, depending on how they grab me, I'll go to a cross guard still, or I'll go to that belt and knee grip. I remember one time I was grabbing the belt and the knee, and I shifted my hips out on Bruno. And Bruno just pinned my hip to the floor, and he looked at me. He's like, I've trained with him too, right? And he just proceeded to pass me. It's kind of like they teach us everything that, they do, right? But because they grew up together, they can see themselves in each other's students.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Which is really, really cool. I look at Mateus, like Robson, Mateus. That kid is amazing. That kid's jiu-jitsu is honest to God amazing. And I got to train with him a couple of weeks ago. He reminded me so much of his dad. His jiu-jitsu, the way he constantly moves, the way he's pacing, the phenomenal jiu-jitsu. Mateus, and you could tell he's worked so hard to get to where he is with his jiu-jitsu. I think the sky's the limit for that kid. Yeah. Amazing jiu-jitsu. I think the biggest thing that I've taken away from each one of them is probably friendships. I have such good friendships from all of them. Whenever I'm having some problems with doubt or how to handle certain situations, some students, I can call Gustavo, and his BJJ mental coaching is phenomenal. Bruno, he's just he loves competing so much. Gustavo just won Pans, and so did Bruno, right? Bruno has won Pans 4 times now. He won last year and this year. Gustavo, if you've got time, go watch Bruno's and Gustavo's matches back at Pans. They're absolutely incredible performances from both of them. High level performances. And seeing how they approach competition, Gustavo's in the zone. When he was in the bullpen, man, he had his hoodie on. He was sitting down. He was in the zone. He was there to do business. When Bruno was in the bullpen, he was there to do business. I've been in the bullpen, seen Shaolin, same thing. They've got the same look between all of them. Seen Robson getting ready for super fights, same exact thing. When they're there, it's time to do business. And that type of mental switch that they have, it's intimidating, man. It is really intimidating.
You know, you bring up Bruno. I want to say it was maybe 2 years ago. I had Bruno come in to my school, and I had picked your brain as to, hey, what are some things we can be doing when Bruno's in? And I had a whole new level of respect for you because I've seen you and Bruno work together at the camp. And it's like, man, why does Heath look like he's in misery when he's underneath? Bruno's just talking about the technique. Bruno, I found out when he came to my school and he used me, he does not know how to relieve pressure when he's talking to the other students.
Bro, man, look, I was in Midland, I think it was like 2 years ago, and his favorite choke's the Ezekiel. His favorite choke's in Ezekiel.
With
and
the
fist. He'll grab like this, and he does this. And I was like, Bruno, that's not an Ezekiel choke. That's a throat punch. You're literally throat punching me. He's like, no, it's an Ezekiel. We're out at dinner that night, and I was like, hey, guys, let me ask y'all a question. This was all his students. How many of you have ever been Ezekieled by Bruno? And now how many of you have ever been throat punched by Bruno? Everyone raised their hands when they were being throat punched. You know what he did to me the next day for like 6 straight minutes? Nothing but Ezekiel's the entire time. That's all he did to me. And then for class, he taught him Ezekiel.
Yeah.
I
mean, it's just amazing. It's like, that it's coming, and there's nothing you can do.
I tell everybody, like, because I've trained with Bruno quite a bit. I'm very familiar with him. I'm very familiar with Robson, and to a degree, I am a little bit with Gustavo. Shaolin, I haven't been able to roll with as much as I would like. But like with Bruno, I can only tell you what techniques he's going to try. I can tell you the little things he's going to do to set him up, like how he's going to off-balance you, especially if you're on top of him. I know his setups to get to his. I still can't stop the setups.
Yeah.
It's not the moves. It's the little intricate things. He's going to move my weight here, and then when I come back, that's when he's going to time it. He's got his thumb in his collar here. He's going to attack my neck first, and then I'm going to posture, and then he's going to try to under. Can't stop it. I know everything. Like Gustavo with his lassos. Man, if you're on top of him and he grabs your sleeve and he gets the lasso, you're going to get triangle. If he gets you in a closed guard and he's got an X-choke grip, he's not going to X-choke you. He's going to like throat punch Ezekiel, he'll like forearm choke you. You'll posture out of it and then he'll shoot a triangle. I know him. I know what they're going to do. And Gustavo caught a triangle. He's been using this triangle setup series. He taught a seminar at my school last year. This triangle setup series he's been doing. Jersey, pans. And he caught a guy in it at pants. And I felt so bad for that guy. Because I know what that triangle feels like. I know. Shaolin, when he was at my school, he was working a Bravo series, and me and him were rolling. He tapped me with this Bravo choke like 100 times, it seemed like. And like I'm nothing to him. And he's at Master Worlds rolling a really good guy. Like the guy I've competed against this guy, and this guy was really good. He was a very good black belt. Shaolin made him look like a white belt. I looked at my wife, I was like, Shaolin's about to Bravo choke him. And the next thing you know, the man's in a Bravo tapping. And Trace's like, how did you know? I was like, I've been there.
I've been there.
I've been there.
Felt it.
Mm-hmm. It's amazing, man.
If you were to look back at your entire jiu-jitsu journey, what has been your favorite rank?
My favorite rank?
Where you had like the most fun, where you felt like you picked up the most?
I'll be honest, it was brown. It was brown. And for a lot of people, that's the crap belt. They hate brown belt. I know for a lot of people, they honest to God hate it. To me, the two worst belts to wear are the blue belt and the black belt. The black belt has been the hardest belt for me to wear. Yeah. The brown belt, it felt like because I had gotten the Robson, I was learning jiu-jitsu, if that makes sense. Yeah, I was a brown belt, but I didn't know jiu-jitsu. I didn't know how to train. I did not know how to sequence. I didn't understand anything about jiu-jitsu other than to be tough, other than to have good cardio and conditioning and try this move or that move. I didn't know anything. When I got with Robson, man, at brown belt, I I started actually learning jiu-jitsu.
Got you.
So for me, the brown belt was the fun belt, man, because like I was actually learning and I could see myself progressing at such a high rate. Then when I got my black belt, reality hit, man. The black belt is the hardest belt to wear. So if anybody's sitting there watching this and they're like, man, I want my blue belt, I want my purple, I want my brown, you need to enjoy those ranks because the black belt is not an easy belt to wear.
Yeah.
It is not an easy belt at all to wear, especially if you care. And from my standpoint, it wasn't just me being able to wear the belt in a rolling way on the mats or competitively out there competing. Because like I'm representing Robson whenever I go compete. I don't want to underperform what expectations are put on me as a Robson Moura black belt.
Yeah.
I understand realistically as an athlete where I'm at versus where I would like to be. They're two different things. But still, there's a certain way you want to carry yourself as a Robson black belt when you're out there competing and representing him on the mats and off the mats. But also when you get your black belt, it's not really about you anymore, especially if you're a school owner. It's about your students. You use that black belt not on the mats. You use it to enhance other people and to build other people up. And that is a very, very big weight on your shoulders if you really think about it.
Yeah.
I mean,
I definitely agree with you on that.
That is a hard belt.
If you could go back and give yourself advice when you were 18, what would it be?
If I could give myself advice when I was 18, I don't know, because I've actually talked with Bruno about this many times. I've always said if I could have gotten to Robson sooner, how much better would I be? You know? But Bruno, Gustavo, and even Robson has said, yes, but my ability to help others wouldn't be the same. Because I came up rough, man. I had it bad. The environment I came up in when I first started was very toxic. It was not a really good training environment. Okay. And when I got to Robson, I realized I knew how I came up and I realized what I wanted my school to be like. I knew what I wanted, and more important, I knew what I didn't want. And Robson has told me many times, so has Bruno, if you hadn't gone through that path in your journey, you wouldn't have this appreciation for what you want now. And it's true, man, because like everybody's journey to black belt's different. That's what makes it so special. Everybody's got different trials. And it's not just your journey on the mats to black belt. It's like a season. Everybody's different seasons in their life. So your season at blue belt could be great. Season at purple belt could be horrible. Man, I'm in purple belt, man. I didn't expect this to be where I'm at in life in general at this age. And now it's kind of reflecting on the mats a little bit. Get through that season, now your brown belt, things are going a little bit better. I mean, it's a wave. And as a coach, I'm here for my students just to facilitate it, to facilitate their journey, because their journey to black belt is special. Like Matthew Coley's journey to black belt, man, it was very special at his age. You know what I mean? For him to be growing as much as he's grown over the years. But then I've got a guy who's like 27 years old. His journey to his black belt's not going to be the same, and I can't treat it the same as what Matthew's is. That's not fair to either one of them. It's your black belt, it's your journey, and that's what makes it purely special to you. And I think a good coach will facilitate it, especially in an honest and as pure way as they possibly can.
Right. Before we wrap up, I like to throw our guests in the hot seat where I throw out 5 questions. Whatever comes off the top of your head, that's the number one answer. What was the last movie you watched?
The last movie that I watched, it was, I can't even remember it now. I watched it with Grayson the other day. It was Rescuers Down Under from Disney.
Okay.
That was the last one me and him watched, was Rescuers Down Under.
All right. Mm-hmm. Was it VHS or was it on streaming?
On streaming. On streaming. Old school stuff. I'm trying to raise them right.
There you go. What was the last book you read?
It was Miracles by Lee Strobel.
Okay.
It was a book about the miracles that have come through in Christ and people seeing miracles through Jesus. It was an amazing book. Absolutely amazing book.
Okay. What position are you currently working on right now?
In jiu-jitsu?
Yeah.
Coming back from Pans, man, I've been playing. I was playing a lot of sit-up guard and single leg X. But when I got back, I decided just to play a little bit of deep half for the last couple of weeks. So it's been deep half guard and waiter sweeps.
Okay. You mentioned earlier in the conversation that Bruno was eating some Oreos in front of you.
Oh, man.
You know, you're trying to make weight. Once Pans was done, what was the first meal you went for?
I went for a double bacon cheeseburger. I was craving a cheeseburger at the end of Pans. So we went to me and one of my blue belts went to a restaurant, and I got a really, really big cheeseburger and a very nice IPA beer. It was very worth it. And I was right back on my diet right after that.
All right. And then, what if any, has been an injury that you had to overcome during your training?
Oh, man, that was bad. About 3.5, 4 years ago now, I tore some meniscus in my knee, and I had knee surgery. So they had to tear out a little bit of my meniscus. It was a bucket tear. About 8 months later, I popped my knee again, and then I went back in and got another MRI, and I tore articular cartilage. And they wanted to go in and perform an oat surgery on me. And when they told me what that was going to be, basically they were going to graft cartilage from one spot of my knee to another. And I was like, man, I'm not doing that. So I got over this company called Regenex, and I did stem cells. They went into my hips and took bone marrow from my hips. And kind of like a PRP treatment, they put in a centrifuge and injected it into my knee. And then over the next 6 to 8 months, I had PRP injections in my knee instead of doing the surgery.
Okay.
A year to the day, I competed at Pans. Now, I wasn't myself. I wasn't 100%. I was still timid going in there. 2 years later, I did very well at Pans. I didn't podium, but I mean, I was a match away. So, I mean, I fought some very tough talent, and I wasn't worried. This year, I've been fantastic. No knee pain or anything.
We didn't even hit on that. We were talking so much about, your teammates getting them prepped. How did you end up doing at Pans?
I got put out in the second round by rest decision.
Okay.
0-0 rest decision, man. It was a tough match. Very tough match. I had first match had a really, really good black belt from Six Blades. I beat him 4-2. And then in the next match, man, I thought I should have got at least an advantage or two for some armbar attempts, but I wasn't awarded them. And that ref ended up giving him the match.
All right.
Very good experience. So that was my first time at a major as a lightweight too. So I was pretty excited about that. Coming down from middleweight. I actually like this weight. I did a carnivore kind of keto diet to get down to it.
Gotcha.
And I haven't had any joint pain or anything like that once I hit about 165 to 170.
Gotcha. What do you walk around now?
Now I'm about 167 this morning when I woke up.
Nice.
So, I mean, I think the diet, cutting out a lot of sugar, cutting out a lot of those like extra fluff carbs and stuff, I just feel a lot better, man. Eating a lot higher protein diet and stuff. It drove my wife crazy because I was eating deer meat every day because I bow hunt quite a bit throughout come September. So I love eating deer meat, venison and stuff. I was eating about a pound of ground deer every day for lunch. So good. And my wife was so tired of the smell. She's like, Heath, will you please eat a Snickers bar or a cheeseburger? But something like that.
Here's some Oreos. Come on, man.
God knows, man. Ate every single one of them in front of me. Horrible. But I got back. It was really nice because when I got back, I actually had some boxes of Oreos on the front counter for me when I got back. I even had one of my students cook me bacon. Cook me some homemade bacon and let me bake.
There you go.
So they take care of me when they're not hazing me, I guess.
Awesome. Well, hey, man, I know you've got, a busy schedule with everything that you do. I appreciate you taking time out to join us on the RMNU podcast. And again, looking forward to seeing you down the road at camps and continued success.
And Ed, thank you so much for everything you're doing for Hobson and the association with these podcasts and stuff, man. This is a great thing that you're doing. It really highlights the instructors of RMNU, because when everybody looks at Hobson, it's great because Hobson is who he is. But I mean, he has put out some amazingly talented black belts in this association and some amazing school owners as well. So thank you for what you're doing for Hobson and the association with that. Seriously, you're doing an amazing job.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
But I appreciate you so much, man. If you need anything, let me know. I'll be around. Awesome. My next thing is I've got kids' pans in July.
All right.
Yeah. So
now do you do the same amount of scouting for them? Oh, dude, that's awesome.
I do it for kids too, man. I've got my son. He's turning 10, so he's going to be doing kids' pans in the Charlotte Open, and he's got about another 9 of his teammates that are looking to do the same thing. So it's going to be a fun trip, I think.
Awesome. Hey, Heath, real quick, let people know how they can find you on social media.
Just look us up on Instagram, ECBJJ, and my personal Instagram handle is FlowFightBJJ. If you guys need anything, just let me know. I'll do everything I can to help y'all out, especially if you're in RMNU and you're driving through Eastern North Carolina. Come in and see me, man. Have some fun.
All right, buddy. Thank you very much. Enjoyed the conversation.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Ed. I appreciate you. I'll see you soon, buddy.
All right, buddy. Take care.
You too now.